Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Dr. Dawn Michael. Today we're going to talk about people that have issues with unwanted sexual desires. And that could be sexual thoughts, sexual feelings, but it's something that is disruptive in your life and something that you want to get rid of. And the idea is that you have these unwanted sexual thoughts because you are giving them energy. So if a thought comes into your mind, you don't really have control over that thought coming into your mind, but you do have control over if you're going to continue to think about it, if you're going to act on it, if you're going to spend time on the internet looking for some particular porn that gives the thought more energy. And that's really what it's about. It's about the energy and the time that you give these thoughts. So the more energy and time that you give these thoughts, the bigger they get, the more powerful they get, and the more that you're not able to pull away from them, because in some ways it feels like it has a hold on you or that it controls you. But the truth of the matter is that it doesn't, because you have a choice. You have a choice at the moment that the thought comes into your mind if you are going to dwell on it, think about it, beat yourself up about it, entertain it. That's where you do have power in your unwanted sexual desire. Many times people will feel like they are powerless to it, or will say that no, they don't have any control over it, that it's something that they may have been born with or something that they can't get rid of. None of that is true. The fact is that you have a thought and you give energy to it, you give power to it, and the moment that you do that, it becomes bigger than it really is. So let's say that you have a thought that comes into your mind and it's really not that important. You kind of put it to the side. You don't think about it, you don't dwell on it, you don't, act on it. It's just a fleeting thought and you let it go. Because we have fleeting thoughts that come into our mind every day, all of the time. And the reason that you will know that this sexual thought, this unwanted sexual thought is a problem, is you will feel something with it. And the feeling will alert you that you are in this process of starting to think more about the thought. And that is when you have to redirect it. Redirect your attention and put it into something else. Get active, whatever you're doing at the moment. Try to change physically where you're sitting, you're standing, what you're doing. And it may still feel like the thought is there and it may still be there, but you're physically getting up and trying to do something to change that thought. Now, sometimes people feel like, oh, I'm just helpless with this. What's the point? I'm just going to delve into it. Now, if delving into it creates a negative feeling afterwards, then you know that it isn't something that was healthy for you to do. Let's say that you delve into a sexual thought and you masturbate or you have sex with your spouse or it's something that turns you on and afterwards you feel fine with it. It's not a problem for you. You let it go and you move on. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about if you have a sexual thought or an unwanted sexual desire that is affecting your life in a negative way. And it's affecting your life in a negative way because you are giving it energy. You are giving it power. You are allowing it to happen. Now, many times people don't have the tools or the understanding of how to stop doing it. And so, yes, a person can feel helpless. But some of the ways for you to begin to get rid of these thoughts is to try not to entertain them. And that is taking responsibility for the fact that they came into your mind and you continue to think about them instead of pushing them aside and doing something else. And unfortunately, in society right now, it's kind of like do what you want. You know, it's okay to just go out and pretty much do anything. It's acceptable to fulfill any sexual fantasy, to try anything that you want to try. But the reality is, many people who do that, they end up feeling worse or being in a worse situation than when they started. So you have to have a certain amount of control and a certain amount of discipline and an understanding that if this is ruining your life, ruining your relationship, affecting your health, that you have to take charge of it. That it's not okay for you to not take responsibility for it. You have to take responsibility for it and work very hard at trying not to give it energy and try to use some tools to walk away from it. When I work with clients, this is exactly what we do. I help them, give them tools so that they don't think about these thoughts. And these are mental tools, mental exercises, things that they can do physically. One thing is exercise, another is meditation. There's also games that you can even play with your mind so that you're able to replace some of these thoughts with other things that are still pleasant. And so there definitely are things that you can do to help. You're not helpless over this. You know, if you are feeling anxious or anxiety, because sometimes when you have these thoughts, they affect your body physically. They raise your heart rate, they raise your adrenaline, they make you feel like you're short of breath. Sometimes people pace, sometimes people even have full blown panic attacks. So the best thing is to get a hold of your uh, your body, to take some deep breaths, to bring oxygen to your brain so you start thinking clearly, to switch what you're doing. Um, Sometimes you can even get up and do some jumping jacks or some push ups or go for a walk or change and do something creative. There's just that golden opportunity of when the thought pops into your mind and that split second where you can change the thought and put your energy into something else. Because many times, once the thought takes hold, it's very difficult to get out of it. And sometimes people stay in that thought for hours and days, and they even act upon it. Now, for those of you who are in this cycle, you do know what I'm talking about. For other people who've not experienced this, this might not make sense. But definitely for people who get stuck in their thoughts, you know that once you're in them, it takes a long time to get out of them. So the best thing to do is not to get in them at all. So if you need some help with this, I offer counseling. And hopefully, some of these tips you can even try on your own and see if they work. And remember, if you give your if you give your thoughts the energy, that's how they become powerful. So you have to cut that off right at the moment as they enter your mind. As you know, I believe everyone deserves to have a healthy sex life, and so do you. Make it a fantastic day.